Yes, we are live. Welcome you all back again for another beautiful episode of Zero Point Healing Show. I'm Vishnupriya. I am a healer myself, certified in multiple different modalities. And this is Zero Point Healing. Zero Point Healing is a beautiful web directory, a web platform for all healers and therapists of holistic healing and alternative healing modalities that we have. And it's my great pleasure today to have a medical doctor, an actual medical doctor who has turned into a beautiful spiritual healer. And I'm so excited. And imagine if every doctor on earth in this world has this information of how we can use our own body's wisdom to heal ourselves. When we are in pain, when there is an illness in our body, the only option, usual option that we have is going to a doctor and having medicines and prescriptions and surgeries. But what if there is another beautiful option of using our body's inner wisdom to heal ourselves? And that's the topic for today. And who else can teach us this other than a person who actually has a medical doctor background? It's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Veronique. Thank you so much for being with me here. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey from going from a medical doctor to a spiritual healer.
Thank you, Vishnu. Well, I trained as a medical doctor in France. And then I got married and I moved to the US for 18 years. And for many reasons, it wasn't widely available for me to practice as a physician. And instead, I chose to raise children. And that's been my joy and my great pleasure. And, as life goes, you just learn various things. You learn about wisdom, about what you like, what you don't like so much. You learn about being worried about things or concerned or joyful. And children always come with all sorts of challenges. Then I moved to England 15 years ago. And part of those challenges became that I became very sick. And thank God I had started a meditation and mindfulness practice before that. And that really helped me through. And little by little, I was guided to herbal medicine to start with. And I learned, I started learning about things about the body in a different way, in just in a non-conventional way. When I got sick, I just knew as a physician that conventional medicine could not explain what was happening to me. And I just started to see really the limitations of it and how there was so much more to the picture. And little by little, because I'm a curious kind of person and I love healing, I studied all kinds of healing modalities. I encountered quantum touch and theta healing and soul plan, and I'm losing it, like Reiki and various things. And every modality, each modality taught me something new, something I didn't know about myself, and it helped me heal as well. So I guess that's the gist of the journey.
That's so beautiful. So yes, I think all of us, even me, when I speak about, my different healing modalities that I learned, it was just one after the other coming to me, and every modality, taking me one step higher than where I was in my life with the problems that I was facing in my life. That's a beautiful journey. So tell us a little bit about, let's go to the topic of today and let's give the audience as much as we can on the topic. How can one use their body's wisdom to heal themselves?
Well, I guess I will use just a picture to start with. I come to believe that any discomfort or imbalance in the body, whether it is physical or mental or emotional or a lack of meaning, which is more spiritual, whatever it is that is happening is a message. And it's a bit like the postman, if you will. You know how he comes from house to house, and a house is a body, and he delivers a message. And we see that letter, and we're just curious. We just want to know what's in the letter. And we're going to open it. And we're going to find out if it's a joyful surprise or it's a not so joyful surprise, like a speeding ticket or something. And it's a bit like this, the body. Our body is going to give us messages. And those messages are going to be very small at the beginning. So they're going to say, wait a minute, you should be eating something different. And we're not listening because actually those scripts are quite delicious. And that's what we're going to have. And then the body is going to start giving us a little bit of a bigger message. It's going to say, well, wait a minute, I'll give you a stomach ache because you're not quite listening. And it would be kind of nice if you could listen to me a little. And we still don't listen. We just take some medicine and we just get rid of the stomach ache and we keep going because we've got work to do, because we've got children to tend to, because we've got friends to see, things to do. And actually, what the body does is that it's going to up the message. So at the beginning, the message would be a very subtle thing. It would be a thought. It would be something very, very mild. But as we don't listen, because we often don't, because we're just too busy having things to do, the body is going to have to ring the bell a bit louder and tell us, yeah, wait a minute, you need to listen to me. And it can become pretty dramatic at times. It can become an accident, or it can knock you off, literally knock you off your feet. And I guess that's how I would describe a little bit what happens. Why do we get sick, if you will? As far as I understand it. You don't have to believe anything I say. This is what I understand at this time in my life. It may be different later, I don't know. But at the moment, that's what it seems to look like.
That's wonderful. And I really want to reiterate that point that you said. When there is a pain or an illness, that body is showing up. It's not a defect in the body. And I would like to term body as a miraculous magic healing machine. It can heal itself. It has amazing wisdom. And what we think of our body, our body is much more than what we can ever imagine as humans with our human minds. So I really would like to reiterate that point. Every pain, every illness that our body gives is a message. It's trying to tell us something. And wow, that's beautiful. Now let's discuss about the 3 simple steps that you have for us to heal ourselves.
Well, since we take everything as a message, this message is going to be delivered in different ways. And it's going to be delivered as perhaps pain in the body, or it can be delivered as a sensation. It can be delivered as a feeling, as an emotion, as something of a various nature. So even if you kind of, and you have many ways, there are many ways available to start exploring and investigating. And I would say the first quality is curiosity, is to be curious about it and really try to step back from the fear of it, or from the inconvenience of it, or the resistance we have to pain or illness, and just try to consider that perhaps it's an opportunity, perhaps it's a gift. And when we have a gift, we want to open it up. We want to know what's in there. And it's about what we're going to be doing. So one of the first practices would be like mindfulness, really. And it's imagine that you have a pain in your body. And it could be anything. It could be a sore foot. It could be, a big one or a small one. It could be, you just pinch your finger in the door earlier. It could be something very small. It could be something quite big. And imagine you have a pain. Well, what we all have, because we are alive, is our breath. And it's really taking our breath to visit that pain, if you will. So it requires imagination at first. Because as we know that the breath goes in our nose, nasal passages, down our throats into our lungs, and back out. That's what we know from the anatomy of it. But we can imagine all sorts of things. That's why we have imagination. So we could imagine, for example, imagine I have a pain in my wrist. We can imagine that this breath is going right into my wrist. So as I breathe in, I imagine the breath going inside my nose and going all the way to my wrist. And as it is there, it's becoming curious. It's just saying, oh, wow, what is this all about? And then as the breath goes out, it releases. And we just can do that a number of times. We can do it a few times, as many times as you need, until that pain gives you information or vanishes. That's something that is possible. Sometimes, as we bring our attention with our breath to that pain, what happens is that the pain starts becoming a little bit stronger. And it's almost like a celebration. The pain is saying, oh, she's noticed me. She's noticed me. Oh my God, she's there. She's paying attention. So sometimes it gives us the sensation that it's becoming stronger. But I invite you to just be with that sensation, allow that sensation, give permission to that sensation to just be there and inform you. That's one of the practices. It's a very simple practice. It's a practice I teach all children because it's so simple. We all have the breath, our first breath when we are born, our last breath when we go. So we all have the breath, doesn't cost anything. It's always there, available to heal and to give us information. So that would be the first possibility, Vishnu. Would you like to know more about something else, or is this okay with this practice?
Yes, I think you demonstrated it so well, and I would love to invite the audience to try it. If you have any pain in your body, try breathing into the pain and listening to the pain. What if instead of going into that kind of sadness and worry due to the pain, what if we can cherish the pain? It's like a messenger giving us a message. Wow, that was beautiful.
So that would be the one of the first practices I could recommend. So simple, like I said, you can use it for yourself, any child. We don't have to be smart. We just know we have the breath and it's right there. Another practice that is a bit more complex, if you will, and sometimes we need a bit of guidance. That's when sometimes it's good to have somebody with you when you try it, but you can try it on your own. So I invite you to really try it on your own. So as we all know, we are now, like me, I'm now, and I'm a certain age. Maybe I won't disclose it. So here you go. So I have so many years of life experience, but I have been a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 25-year-old, a 35-year-old. I have had all those moments in my life before, moments where I've been a child, where I've been a daughter, where I have been a wife, a mother, all those sort of things, a friend. So all those children or younger versions of ourselves exist within ourselves. And they are referred to very often as inner child. So oftentimes when we think about the inner child, we think about a young child. But it can be our 25-year-old. It can be our 35-year-old. Okay? So as we went through life and through life experiences, there are various things that happen to us. And some were joyful and wonderful, and some were not so joyful and not so wonderful. Okay? And sometimes those were very, very minor events that were misunderstood because we were a child. That happens a lot without serious abuse of any kind. There are so many times where we would have loved more attention from our mom, but she was busy giving it to a sibling, or she was busy working. She wasn't doing anything wrong, but we felt like we didn't receive what we needed in that moment. That's how we felt. It's not good or bad. It's just how we felt and experienced that moment where our mother was caring for a younger sibling or caring for her work, for example. So all those moments where we felt perhaps rejected or abandoned and didn't receive the joy we needed in that moment, or didn't receive the hug we needed, or, you know, or it could be much more than this, like a much more serious abuse. All those moments are imprinted in our body, and they give us sensations, and they can give us messages. So when we're ready to deal with a situation, maybe when we were 5 years old, we are not ready to deal with jealousy. But when we're 35, we are. We've grown up, we can do it, okay? So then our body is going to give us a little message, a little signal. And maybe it's going to bring a pain somewhere, an illness somewhere. And as we enter this body sensation, what I call entering the body sensation, as we give ourselves permission to be with that feeling. Maybe it's because yesterday some friend did something and I felt jealous. It's an event, could be that. But I felt it somewhere in my body. And I can invite my awareness into that body sensation, into that feeling, into that emotion. But any feeling and emotion is going to have a body sensation. So you use, one way to do it is use your left hand if you're right-handed, or your right hand if you're left-handed, but your non-dominant hand. And invite that hand to place itself on the part of your body that holds that memory and that difficult life experience. So it could be your right shoulder, could be your head, could be your knee, could be anything in your body. You just allow the hand to go there. And as you allow this hand to go to that place, you just allow your awareness to get very present, very curious, to allow yourself to get into the silence of it. And you just listen to that silence. And then ask just a small question. How old was I when it first happened? And in that moment, it happens very quickly, within seconds. Literally, the very first image that comes to your mind may be a memory. It may be something that looks silly, like all of a sudden you see a pet rabbit and you're like, what does it have to do with my story? But it does. Stay with that image and allow that image to start guiding you to a memory or an event or a moment in your life where you first experienced that jealousy. And all of a sudden, you're going to just understand. You're going to maybe see yourself as a 3-year-old child who is jealous because the little brother was just being born. And all of a sudden, she didn't get the same attention. Could be anything. But being with that and just seeing your mother turning to your brother and realizing that as a 3-year-old, you needed the attention. That's already the first step of healing, is that you're aware of what is triggering that. And then you can change it. Then you can go up. Imagine that the older version of you goes and visits the 3-year-old version of you. And she asks, how can I help you? What do you need? And the 3-year-old may turn and say, but I need a hug, but she's busy with the little brother. And you give that hug to the child. If she needs a piece of chocolate, give her a piece of chocolate. Give her what she needs. Find a way to give her, in your imagination, in your heart, give her what she needs. And you'll be surprised. But when you come back from that, you may feel a lot better. And later you'll see in your life, all of a sudden, that those moments in your life and those little events where you feel jealous, they don't happen so much anymore. Because this has been healed. So that's another way to heal. And I'm aware that time is flying as we speak. So
yes, not a problem. But the information that you're giving is so valuable, and this is exactly we do in hypnotherapy practices and many other healing, the inner child healing. And that's wonderful, like how you explain one can do it for themselves, because it's at the end of the day, whether we come to a healer or not, it is the person who is healing themselves. So what if we can give this tool to them to help themselves? Yes. Let's go ahead.
Yeah, and I guess another way to look at a similar situation would be to look at the roles we play. Like, for example, some of the roles that we all play is probably son or daughter, you know, because we were all born from a mother. So we all are playing that role. We all playing the customer because we all go to the shop to buy food, perhaps. Or we are playing the friend or the neighbor, or we are playing the protector because we feel we always have to protect somebody. Or we play the provider because we feel we have to earn a living for the family. Or we play the actor because that's what we love doing, or the musician. Those are called archetypes, or they are called subpersonalities. Those are all parts of us. And there are parts of us that are trying to save the world, and part of us that are activists, and part of us that are teaching, and part of us that are healers. And all those parts of us, they all play a role. And some of the time, some parts play a more active role than others. Some are just not allowed to play their role because others are taking over, for example. And there is a little bit of imbalance in the system. So when you have experience an event in your life, again, I don't know what example to pick, but jealousy may not be the best one. But like, for example, it happens a lot to healers, if there are healers listening. As healers, and I was very much in that mode years ago, as becoming a physician first, and then a healer. Oh my God, you've got to save everybody. You've got to heal everybody, you've got to save everybody, you've got a program, okay? You've got to do it. So I would call that perhaps the savior archetype. You just got to save everybody. So let me tell you that I was dishing out a lot of advice to a lot of people that didn't really want to hear them. Why? Because I could see what they needed, but instead of asking them how they felt, I was very, very busy telling them how they should feel and what they should do about it. That would be an archetype of the savior. On steroids, I would call it, a little bit too much of it. We all experience those things. We can be too much of a mother, if you will, or too much of a daughter, like not living our life because we feel we always have to tend to somebody else. And yes, we need to tend to our children. Yes, we need to tend to our elders. Of course we do. But perhaps not at the expense of tending to ourselves. So that's another way to look at life. Try to look at life in that way. Wonder, who is playing that role right now? Who is teaching? Is this needed? Is this a little bit, if you realize that you're overreacting to a situation, chances are that you're in your archetype and it's not really balanced. I hope that gives you a little bit of a sense of how to work with yourself.
Yes, that's beautiful. So now let's move on to the healing process that you have for us.
We just invite you to take a very comfortable position and just relax. Just love yourself into relaxing for those few minutes we have together. And just allow the breath to go in, and perhaps just blow out with your mouth open a little bit and just say, time to relax, time for myself now. Just get very silent. I'm just going to invite you to visit a couple of our organs, a few of our organs, and see how they're doing. So as we did earlier, as we invited the breath to go visit parts of our body, this time we're going to invite the breath to visit our lungs. So we're just going to imagine that the breath goes within our lungs and out of our lungs. And we're going to do that 4 or 5 times. Just allowing the breath to go in our lungs and out of our lungs. Another couple of times. And now we talk to our lungs. We imagine that. We imagine they can talk back. And we ask our lungs, what do you need right here, right now? And just listen. The very first thought is your answer. And just keep that in your heart. And keep breathing. And now we're going to go visit our stomach. And same, we're going to imagine that our breath goes into our stomach and out. 5 times. And we're going to ask our stomach, how can I help you, stomach, today? What can I do for you? And just listen to the answer. And there may be no answer at all. And that's okay too. The answer may come later. And let us now navigate to our liver. And just imagine the breath going into the liver. And as we get in there, let us say thank you. Thank you to our liver for all the work it does at detoxifying our body in each moment. And just bringing gratitude to our liver for all the work it does. And ask if we can do anything for him in return. Now, next stop will be the spleen. Just allowing our breath to get into the spleen. Express our gratitude for the spleen that is just creating all those wonderful cells that support our immune system. And say thank you to that spleen for keeping us healthy. And if we don't have a spleen anymore, for some reason, we always have an energetic spleen. So that's what we're talking to. And finally, let us go to our heart. And breathe into our heart. And just say thank you to our heart for beating for us every moment. And if there is anything you want to say to your heart now, just say it. And take one deep breath in, one deep breath out, and another one. And start coming back into your body and moving your fingers and toes. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
Wow, that was amazing. Allowing each of our organs to talk. And
Yeah.
yes, and it is also tapping into our intuition as well. If any of the audience who did it with us today, if this is your first time doing something like this, our intuition has has connection to the divine, and it can tell us anything and everything. All the answers to our questions reside within ourselves. So when you are doing this kind of meditation and talking to your organs, it's usually the first thing that comes to your mind, the first 1 to 2 seconds. Whatever you hear, that's your intuition. You have power much more than what you can even imagine. Thank you so much, Veronique. So if any of our clients wants to contact you, so you do online sessions, isn't it?
Yes, I do. Yes.
So they can contact you and they can book an appointment with you. To tell about her, she's certified in multiple different modalities, and her healing is unique to herself. She was explaining me before the call, she takes in elements from all the different certifications and modalities that she has learned in order to help a client, any kind of body illnesses and anything else for that matter. She is an all-rounder. Any kind of issues that you have, she has the answers and she can help you. You can contact her by clicking on the link below. We also have a special 10% off discount for you watching this show on 0 Point, and the coupon code is 0 Point. You can contact her and let her know. Thank you so much, Veronique. It's my absolute pleasure for having you with me. And it's my wish that every doctor in the world knows what you know, so they can help us tap into our own wisdom rather than prescribing medicines and surgeries. Yes.
I think it's a cooperative effort. I think there is a place for all medicines, and each medicine has its own wisdom, and each medicine can save lives in various ways. So it's about all learning from each other and cooperating for the health and the well-being of everyone. So thank you, Vishnu, for a wonderful time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. My dear audience, I'm going to meet you in the next show. But if you are a healer or a therapist, please come on to 0 Point and you can register yourself. And you can also, if you're interested, book this interview with me. Thank you so much. I'll meet you all in the next show. Thank you, Veronique. Bye for now.
Thank you.